Hello everybody, and thank you for stopping by today. I have got a bit of a nightmare video for me. I've got this box of white scraps that sits in my craft room and is such a mess. And I think these things are having babies in there because I don't know where they all come from. But I'm pretty sure I'm not the only person with these. And so today I wanted to do a video just using up these scraps. They're too good to throw out, so I needed to figure out how to color them up. Now, I have to confess, I started making this video, I don't know if it was in the spring or the early summer, and it's taken me this long to get it done and up. But you can see here, I'm just putting scraps down on a sticky mat, just trying to get as many on as I possibly could. And back in the spring, I had discovered these distress mica spray stains, and they are beautiful. So here I am just randomly getting paint or spray down onto these pieces of cardstock. I really wasn't worrying about blending anything or anything like that because each little piece is going to be its own, and so I didn't worry at all. Now, this is some Cosmic Shimmer metallic gilding polish, and if you've never used this, these things are amazing. It's a really soft mousse-like paste. It's water soluble. It comes with that little applicator in the lid, and there are so many colors that it comes in. So I'm just, putting that onto my background stamp, and then I went around the stamp with a baby wipe just to soften the edges. I did mist it with water, but you don't normally have to do that. And then I am just stamping. I just wanted to get some more color on each piece of cardstock. And so that's all I'm doing here. I'm just spreading it around, trying to cover each piece somewhere with a little bit more texture or, background color. Now, I've got this Luna paste, which is also from Cosmic Shimmer by Creative Expressions. And this one is Moonlight Pearl. It's really, really pretty. There's lots of mica in this paste. So I'm just spreading it through a Tim Holtz stencil there. I'm, again, just trying to get a little bit on each piece of cardstock underneath, not worrying about the pattern at all, just sort of randomly going over it. And so this is how it was by the time I'd finished. And then I let all that dry. It doesn't take that long for that paste to dry, but then this is what I was left with, all these pieces, and the shine on these is amazing. So here are a few more Distress mica spray stains in different colors. I'm using my anti-static powder tool on it here, and instead of stamping on this, I'm going to use Versamark ink and emboss with the white embossing powder. I just thought that might give it a little bit of a different look. So I'm just putting that on. Now, I was really not worrying too much about this. I just didn't want any sharp edges like on that one, so I just brushed it off a bit. And then I went back in over it all with the Distress grit paste, and this one I believe was in Snowfall. So I'm just putting that on again through another stencil, set that aside to dry. And this is how it looked at the end once it was all dry. Each piece has got a little of that snowfall on it, and you can just see it's fairly translucent. Now here's some more of that metallic gilding polish. I picked two different colors of blue for this and a gold. And you will see here, I really didn't care about blending. I just wanted color on it. And I knew that I was going to put a paste over top, so I really didn't want to have to worry about blending all this. I just wanted fast color. So here I'm using some Nouveau Glacier paste, and I believe this one was Winter White. And I'm just, that stencil I think was from Michael's or maybe Walmart. It's a wall stencil, I believe. It's several years old now, but I really like the pattern. So here are a couple of these circles when I was done with them. You can see how that ink blending really doesn't matter. It's sort of hidden underneath the stenciling. Okay, now these two, I had a few pieces of scrap cardstock where I got out my distress paints. Now, I have to confess, I haven't used these in years. The felt tip applicators are dried up, But I used a palette knife and just spread on color, and then once I had the color on and it had dried, I went over with this metallic gilding polish, and that is a pearl. And then you can see I put these together and just stenciled with that gold metallic gilding polish. And the shine from the gilding polish is really, really pretty. So here are two more distress paints that I just spread on the base of those. And then again, I went over with the pearl metallic gilding polish. And then I used the blue metallic gilding polish through a stencil, actually, just to get that look. Now here are those scraps that I think you saw at the beginning. I honestly don't even know what I made that I got all these scraps, because they're all fairly uniform. But that was Distress Spray Stain, and I'm not sure now what that paste was that I used. I'm sorry guys, it's been so long since I started this. But obviously I put a paste on through a stencil for these. And I had this idea that I would weave them in with the white, but when I did that, I just found the white too jarring. So I tried weaving the strips together, and I found that to be too much. It's a bit like Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And so here I've got all my strips of white taped together with masking tape, and I created that sort of pinky color by mixing these two polishes together. And I like that better somehow, so I am just weaving some of those strips through that. It's all very shiny, you know, paper at this point. So really, I mean, anything is going to look good, I think. So I'm just weaving it through, and as I get to the end, I just made sure that I pulled the latest row down as tight as I could against the first row or the row below it. So there you can see I'm just pulling that down. Just making it nice and tight against the one below, so it's quite a tight weave. And then once I had enough of that done, I just started gluing all the edges down wherever I could. And then I trimmed these bits off. Now, these will come back to haunt me, these pieces, because I didn't want to throw them out, so I saved them. And I have put them in a card for you at the end. So again, on the back, I just made sure everything was tucked in, and I took the masking tape off, and then I trimmed those white bits down. Oh, sorry, I glued it all together as well, and then just trimmed this off. And I did not save these white pieces. So I've got two Simon Says Stamp flowers there. It's the Cosmos and the Sunflower, and I've created a frame that I've foam tape backed. And now I'm just gluing my woven piece down onto my card front, and then I can position the frame over top. Now that weaving really gave a lot of texture to that paper. It's quite surprising. When I think it came from scraps of white card, it's really quite nice. So there's that card. I did add a few pearls at the end, which you'll see a bit later. I have got cards made for you guys. I just put them at the end though. Now these circles I did in much the same way, and I wanted to put this little guy up on an action wobbler. Now if you don't have a wobbler, they're super easy to make. This is a 22 gauge wire. The gold one on the right is 20 gauge, and it's too thick for a wobbler. This silver one was, I believe, 28 gauge, and it's okay for a small image, but because I'm doing one for that whole circle, I wanted to use, I did end up using the 22 gauge wire. So all you need to do is cut two little circles, and I've poked a hole through the center of both. You want to leave a slight tail of the wire, but then just wrap it around a pen or a pencil. Could be around a Sharpie or a marker of some kind. And I wrapped it, I think, 5 or 6 times around my pen. You just want to get enough of a coil that it will wobble when it moves or when it's knocked. So there you go, there's my coil. Now the tail, you want to turn it so that it's coming up through the center of that coil so that your wobbler's not off skew. So there it's coming right up the middle, and I can poke it through the center of that paper circle, and then I just use double-sided tape to attach that, and then I can cut the other end off, and again with this end just turn that wire so that it's coming up the center of that coil. I hope that makes sense to you. You just want it coming out the middle of that circle die cut that we've done. So right up the middle there, and then poke it through, and a bit more tape on the back. And so there you can see you've got a little wobbler. So now if I remove the release paper, you want to center these on whatever image you're doing them on. So just putting that as close to the center as I can get. And then I like to use my bone folder just to really press it down, and then take the release paper off, and it can be stuck down onto the card. And again, just use my bone folder to press it down. And so you can see it works really quite well. So now I've got a few cards to show you how I've used these bits and pieces. On this one I put double-sided adhesive on the card front, and then I just placed these little strips down, left the center with a frame around it, and I put some micro beads in the center. All these images are from my extra images that I've had that I wanted to use up. Now this card, I put the panel in behind. It's a panel die cut from Creative Expressions by Sue Wilson. And I just thought that panel was really quite pretty in behind the leaves and the flowers. And there is the woven one with a few extra pearls added on. Now these two were quite big. These are 5 by 7 inch cards. And so I have just basically put them in with a frame. The cards themselves, I used that same pearl metallic gilding polish on the card front. And the sentiments, I used the gold metallic gilding polish to cover those over. And so they were quite simple. Now these hearts were actually hexagon shaped before I die cut them, and I had just covered them with different shades of pink metallic gilding polish, and then I stamped over them with a white pigment ink using, it was a Simon Says stamp, I think it's called Love Is background stamp, and then I clear heat embossed it, and then I just cut the sentiments from my scraps and the flowers and the extra hearts from more scraps. And I did use embossing folders for both of these. They were 2 different ones. I will try to list everything down below. I'm going to have to look and see if I've got the names of these. Sometimes the embossing folders don't have the names on them. Now this one was the same stamp and the same metallic gilding polishes, but I used a white embossing powder for this one. And then the background is a paper rose cover die. And just the same flowers. I cut a whole bunch of those flowers. You'll see them again. And then I just colored them up at the same time, and there you have it. 3 Valentine's or anniversary or engagement cards. Now here's the card that I said would come back to haunt me. I just put those extra little strips from the weaving on the angle and added the images, and you've already seen this little guy. Here are those circles that I just was very sloppy with my blending on, and all I've done is I made this a circle card and just put the flowers around the outside and a sentiment on the inside or on the front. And then on this one, if you make a circle card, if you just cut a little bit off the inside edge like that, it will stand up and not roll. So I thought I'd throw that in there for you, in case you didn't know. Here, this card ended up being 5 by 7 also. I embossed the background. I did add scraps in behind that circle, but you just don't see it there. So there's a bit more dimension to that one. So there you have it, everybody. A few ideas, I hope. I hope that's given you some ideas of what to do with all your scraps. I'm still trying to use mine up. Thank you for stopping by, though, everybody, and I hope you're having a great day.